Okay, so for the last month, pretty much all of our planet's most powerful telescopes have been staring at this one single strange point of light. You'd think they'd be finding some answers, right? Well, what they've found has only raised a whole lot more questions. So yeah, let's dive into this cosmic detective story.
I mean, really think about that. It sounds like something straight out of science fiction, I know. But that is the level of question we're being forced to ask when we look at the object officially known as 3I/Atlas. It is a visitor from another star, and it is not behaving like anything we have ever seen before.
You know, this is only the third time we've ever spotted an object from another star system. You probably remember the first one, Oumuamua, back in 2017. That was the weird one, the bizarre cigar-shaped rock that had everybody talking. Then came 2I Borisov, and we all kind of breathed a sigh of relief because it was the normal one. It looked and acted just like a regular comet. But 3I Atlas, it's already shaping up to be the stranger one.
All right, so let's establish the facts of the case here. We're talking about a visitor from afar. And while we don't know exactly which star it came from, we're pretty sure it's from a very, very old part of our galaxy. It might have come from a solar system that's literally double the age of our own. So this isn't just a rock, it's an ancient traveler.
And this traveler is in a huge hurry. It's absolutely screaming through our solar system. We first spotted it back in May out between Saturn and Jupiter. By this October, it'll make its closest pass by the Sun, and then by next spring, it's already flying past Jupiter on its way out the door. To put that speed into perspective, it took our Voyager probes almost 2 years just to get to Jupiter.
And this is the smoking gun. This is how we know, for sure, that it's not from around here. It's moving so fast that our sun's gravity can't capture it. It's like the sun is reaching out for a gravitational hug, but this thing is just giving a brief handshake as it flies by. It's on a path that's going to sling it right back out into deep space. It was never here to stay.
And right here, this is where our story shifts from interesting cosmic event to, what on earth are we looking at? Because right from the get-go, the clues, well, they just didn't add up.
So to understand the first really weird clue, we need to quickly talk about sublimation. Just picture a comet as a big, dirty snowball. As it gets close to the sun, the ice on it doesn't melt into water. Instead, in the vacuum of space, it turns straight from a solid into a gas. That cloud of gas is what creates that beautiful, bright halo around it, which we call a coma.
Now here's the crucial part. A typical comet, one made of water ice from our solar system, only gets warm enough to start this process once it crosses inside the orbit of Jupiter. That's the rule. But 3I/Atlas, it completely broke that rule. When we first saw it, it was way out beyond Jupiter, and it was already glowing brightly. It started sublimating way too early. That was our first big hint that this thing isn't made of the usual stuff.
Okay, clue number 2 was its tail. Normally, this is pretty simple. The sun is constantly blowing out a stream of particles called the solar wind, so a comet's tail always gets pushed back, pointing away from the sun. The analogy is perfect. Think of a dog sticking its head out a car window, and the wind is pushing its face and its ears back. That's how it's supposed to work.
Now, imagine that dog sticks its head out the window and its face starts stretching forward into the wind. It's impossible, right? That's basically what astronomers saw. For a time, the tail of 3I Atlas seemed to be pointing the wrong way, towards the sun, against the solar wind. It just makes no physical sense at all.
So completely baffled by these early clues, scientists did what you'd expect. They aimed our best instruments, James Webb, Hubble, you name it, right at this thing. They were hoping to get some answers from its chemical signature. But the data that came back, it only deepened the mystery. It revealed a makeup that is genuinely alien to us.
The results from the chemical analysis were frankly stunning. The coma, that giant gas cloud, is almost all carbon dioxide. We're seeing a ratio of 8 parts CO2 for every 1 part water. That is 16 times more carbon dioxide than a typical comet from our solar system. The recipe is just completely wrong.
And the scale we're talking about here is just immense. That cloud of unexpected CO2 has a radius of 300,000 kilometers. To put that in perspective, our own sun's radius is about 700,000 kilometers, so this gas cloud is nearly half the size of our star. Whatever is at the center of that cloud must be very large and very, very active.
But this clue, this is the one that has everybody completely stumped. In the universe, iron and nickel are inseparable partners. cosmic best friends. They're forged together in the hearts of stars. You always find them together, always. Except, apparently, in 3I/Atlas. Our telescopes detected a clear signal of nickel in its coma, but found absolutely no trace of iron.
And that leads to this staggering observation. We have only ever seen nickel separated from iron in one single context, when we humans do it on purpose, right here, on Earth, in an industrial process. As far as we know, nature just doesn't do this.
So, this brings us to the book club portion of our little investigation. We all have the same text, right? We all have the same hard data from the telescopes. The facts are clear. The big question now is, how do we interpret it? And there are two very different schools of thought starting to form.
Let's start with that early brightness. The scientific explanation is pretty straightforward. It's full of CO2, and CO2 ice turns to gas at much colder temperatures, so of course it lit up sooner. Makes sense. But there's a more speculative reading. What if it was an alien probe powering up its systems as it got closer to our sun's energy?
And what about the nickel without the iron? Well, the conventional view has to be that this is some kind of unknown but totally natural chemical process from a very different kind of star system. Okay, possible. The speculative reading is a lot more direct. The nickel is an artificial component. It's part of a manufactured object. And the crazy thing is, the data doesn't rule either one out.
But as absolutely wild as all this has been, this investigation is far from over. We still have a few precious chances to gather more clues before 3I/Atlas leaves us behind and heads out into the black forever.
So, what's next? Well, this October, there are 2 European orbiters at Mars that are going to try to use their high-res cameras to actually peer through that gas cloud and see the shape of the object in the middle. Then in March of 2026, NASA's Juno probe might get one last look as the object flies past Jupiter. This really could be our last best chance to get some answers.
Ultimately, one thing seems certain. What we learn from 3I/Atlas is going to force us to rewrite our textbooks. The only question left to answer is which ones. Will it be the books on astrophysics, teaching us about some new kind of natural cosmic object we never knew existed? Or will it be the books on human history?